Welcome to the Retire Ready podcast, a podcast that helps Canadians prepare for all that retirement brings. I'm your host, Scott Sather, founder, president, and financial planner at Awaken Wealth Management and portfolio manager with Awaken Investments of Aligned Capital Partners in Regina, Saskatchewan. Thanks for joining me today. Today we're going to talk about what happens to pensions when you decide to leave your employer or you decide to take the commuted value out. Whether that means you quit a job or even retired, when you move your pension plan, it will likely end up in a locked-in retirement account, a locked-in RRSP, the locked-in retirement account otherwise known as a LIRA. Now, it all depends on what jurisdiction the pension is regulated under as to what options you have for accessing the funds. So I'll go over the various rules for the LIRA, but you can visit retirereadypodcast.com and go to the episode 11 page to find the show notes and links for more information, and also the links to the various provinces and federal rules and legislation on LIRAs. But first, we should just cover the fact that for the most part, you can't withdraw directly from the LIRA. The funds need to move to a LIF, PRIF, LRIF, RLIF, or an annuity. Okay, did I lose you there? That alphabet soup I just mentioned covers all the various retirement income funds that are tied to the locked-in retirement accounts. The account you'll use to draw out will depend on which legislation your plan is under. The LIRA at its core is basically just like an RRSP, only you can't contribute to it, and, like I just said, you can't directly withdraw from it. But from an investment and tax standpoint, it works basically the same. All the same investment options as the RRSP, and the account continues to grow tax deferred. So, when and why would you need a LIRA? Well, when you've left a job where you had a pension plan, you may want to transfer that pension into a LIRA. I say may as it depends on the type and benefits of the pension as to whether you should transfer or not. The two main types of pension plans in Canada are defined benefit and defined contribution. A defined benefit pension plan, or DB pension plan, is a plan that guarantees you a certain amount of monthly retirement income calculated using a formula along the lines of either your average salary over your career at the employer, average in the last 3 or 5 years before retirement, or even your best 3 or 5 years average salary. Each plan is different. Then multiply that number by your years as a plan member, and finally using a multiplier to determine the percentage of your final average salary that you will receive as a retirement benefit. Some plans will just provide a flat benefit that gives you a flat amount per year of service. A DB plan will include benefits to your surviving spouse should you predecease them, and may include a bridge benefit that tops up your pension up until age 65 should you retire before that, or some will provide an annual cost of living adjustment to your monthly benefit. Depending on the plan and its benefits, it may make the most sense to keep the plan with the pension provider until you retire. In some situations, it's better to transfer the pension out to a LIRA, where you receive a commuted value, which is the lump sum present value of the pension you would otherwise receive as a monthly payment for your lifetime upon retirement. Most plans these days are defined contribution plans, where you and your employer contribute to the plan and the investments within decide your ending value. Typically, you transfer the plan out to have more control on the investments, incomes, and advice. If you choose to move your pension to the LIRA, part or all of this transfer may be subject to locking in provisions of where the pension was registered, that being federal, provincial, or territories legislation, to ensure that the funds will be available to you upon retirement. They don't want you to take the money out and spend it all before retirement. Therefore, you may need to transfer part or all of the commuted value to a locked-in RRSP or locked-in retirement account. As mentioned before, just like the RRSP, the transferred portion of the commuted value is not taxable until you start receiving income from the plans. Any portion not transferred and taken as cash is taxable to you. The pension legislation will provide information on unlocking the funds, maximum withdrawal limits, and more. Generally speaking, most plans are locked in until retirement or around age 55, but many of the plans have some flexibility for certain circumstances, providing several exceptions that allow you to access your locked-in funds. These include small amounts. So if you have a small balance in your LIRA, likely too low to provide a meaningful pension, you might be eligible to unlock these funds. This situation could occur if you've worked for a company that offered a pension but left after a short time. It could be due to financial hardship, facing a financial challenge due to low income, high medical bills, or disability-related costs relative to your income might make you eligible to withdraw some money from your LIRA. The maximum amount you can unlock is determined by your expected income for the year when you request the withdrawal. If there's a shortened life expectancy, if you have a shortened life expectancy due to a terminal illness or disability, you may be able to withdraw the funds in cash, transfer them to an RSP or a RIF, subject to being certified by a physician and any applicable tax rules. If there's non-residency in Canada, if you meet specific criteria from CRA, Canada Revenue Agency, that results in you being classified as a non-resident for tax purposes, you might be able to unlock the funds in your LIRA. All of these options are subject to application and approval. It's recommended to talk to your financial planner to see if they may qualify for your situation. After those early withdrawal rules, each jurisdiction has their own pension rules for withdrawing. Most will require your spouse to sign a spousal consent form, allowing the funds to move to their respective retirement income account, so you can access the funds. This is to protect the spouse, as they have a legal right to the funds should the spouse with the pension predecease them, or in the case of a marital split, just to protect everyone, basically. Imagine one spouse works and one stays at home, and that working spouse builds up that pension throughout their lifetime, and both of them are counting on that pension to help them through retirement. If all of a sudden something was to happen and the working spouse takes the pension and withdraws it all on their own, that leaves that other spouse in a vulnerable situation. So this is just for that protection side of things. Some provinces will allow you to unlock a certain percentage of the account prior to moving the fund to the appropriate retirement income vehicle, but we'll talk more about that in the next episode. Okay, that's all I have for you this time around. We've covered what a LIRA is, what it's for, and how to access it. We'll talk more about the retirement income side of the locked-in account in our next episode, so be sure to check that out by clicking that follow or subscribe button. Again, please email me with any questions or ideas for the show. My email address is info@retirereadypodcast.com. You can view the resources and links I talked about in this episode and find the show notes by visiting retirereadypodcast.com and going to the episode 11 page. For even more resources to get you ready for retirement, you can subscribe to the Wake Up semi-monthly newsletter by visiting the Awaken Wealth site, which is awakenwealth.ca. Thanks again for joining me today. I look forward to seeing you back for the next episode.
Thank you for listening to the Retire Ready podcast. To subscribe to this podcast or to learn more, please head on over to awakenwealth.ca/Retire Ready podcast. Investment services are provided through Awaken Investments of Align Capital Partners Incorporated, an approved trade name of Align Capital Partners Inc. /ACPI. Only investment-related products and services are offered through ACPI or Awaken Investments of ACPI and covered by the Canadian Investor Protection Fund. Tax planning, financial planning, and insurance services are provided through Awaken Wealth Management Limited. Awaken Wealth is an independent company separate and distinct from ACPI or Awaken Investments of ACPI. Awaken Wealth are not licensed tax professionals, and you should consult with your tax advisor before acting on any recommendations. Investments and investing strategy should be evaluated based on your own objectives. Listeners of this podcast should use your best judgment and consult a financial expert prior to making any investment decisions based on the information found in this podcast.